Good morning, students. We'll continue with the 11th standard economics, chapter 6, distribution analysis. In that next topic is that interest. Interest means the payment has to be given by the borrower to the lender. Suppose you're a banker. Bank gives a loan to the common people. The common people, whoever takes the loan from a bank, he has to pay the interest to the bank. So whenever we borrow the money, you have to pay the interest. That's all. For example, there is a capital good, man-made goods. For capital also interest will be there. If suppose it's a man-made things, if you want to produce any goods, you have to buy the machine. To buy that machine, the investment you have to purchase that one, you have to make investment. So to reward for that investment, the interest. Reward whatever using that mission to produce a product, the reward is that interest. Reward can be said to be as interest. So according to Marshall, the interest means the price whatever we are paying is for what means when we use the capital, that means man-made material to produce a goods, that when we are using, the reward has to be given for that. That reward is called as the interest. So there are two kinds of interest, gross interest and net interest. Gross interest means the interest what are the creditors receive from the debitors. As we said, the example of a bank gives the loans. Bank will be the creditors. The common people who buys the loan or takes the loan from bank is become a debitors. Net interest means the gross interest when we use the capital. For that we have to pay the interest. That can be government securities. We can give the example. The government property or government security, we can use it. We cannot own by ourselves. So when we are using, we have to pay the payment we have to make. That payment is called as the interest. So there are 4 types of interest theory. First is the subsistence theory or we can be called as a weighting theory. Subsistence theory was given by N.W. Senior. So according to that, subsistence theory means the people or a person who's subsisting, that means is sacrificing himself without consuming. He sacrifices enjoyment, present enjoyment. So its sacrifices has been made. Without a sacrifice, he cannot save it. So that sacrifices the whatever is savings. That savings involves the subsistence, because that sacrifices have some suffering. That suffering, whatever is done, he is doing. For that we have to give some reward. So that reward is called as an interest. So subsistence or a suffering, for that what we are paying, what we are making a reward, that reward is called as a interest according to the N.W. Senior. This concept is also accepted by the Marshall, the great economics. So insist of subsistence is using the word called as a weighting. That's why this theory is also called as weighting theory. So according to him, when your savings, the next day we cannot have an interest. We have to wait for some 1 month or 2 months or year to get the interest. So for that waiting, the reward has to be given. So that reward is called as an interest. So that's why it is called as a weighting theory. So this theory is also have some criticism. All the saving won't have a suffering. For example, rich people, what the suffering is making, extra money only is saving and keeping. So hoarding money, that means hide and keeping. So much of money is having, in that pinch amount only he'll be keeping as a liquidity. Liquidity means day-to-day activity is keeping. So there is no suffering in that. Next theory is a EGO theory of interest, a psychological theory of interest or a time preference theory of interest. This was introduced, propounded by the John Ray in the year 1834, and afterwards is developed by Boom Bavrak, Australian economics. School of Economics had developed. Then after it was modified, newly modified theory was modified by the Irving Fisher. That's why it is called as a time preference theory. So according to this theory, people prefer for the present goods. They want to enjoy the present, not the future. Because he has given the quoted the proverb, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Yes, the bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. He has given the quoted. That's what the future, anything can be happen. We cannot predict any future what will happen. So the people, suppose this people will save their money, they are postponing their enjoyment, sacrifices they are making. For that sacrifices, we have to pay a reward, or to satisfy their enjoyment, or the postponing what their enjoyment is, whatever the enjoyment what they are postponing. For that we have to pay some reward that can be paid as a AGO or a premium. That premium is called as interest. So there is a risk, whatever the present world, anything can be happen in the future. It cannot be predicted. So next theory will come for the Renewable Fund theory. Renewable Fund theory or neoclassical theory is developed by the Swedish economist Wicksell, Berlin, all has been developed. According to this theory, it should be equilibrium between. That equilibrium means equal between the demand and supply. According to that, the fund has to be used in the market. And in that loanable fund theory, demand for loanable fund, it can be categorized into three. First one is demand for investment. Demand for investment means the bulk demand, if it's there, if you're having a bulk order demand from to manufacture any pen or a pencil or a fridge or a TV, anything, means you have to make a investment. The fund has to be there. The money you have to keep in your hand. So for that, what you have to borrow or purchase, or borrow or a bank money, or you have to do the money you have to keep in your hand to purchase a capital good, manufacture a machine or a raw material you have to go. That is called a demand for investment, what you are doing to manufacture that product. Second one is that demand for consumption. Demand for consumption means how the demand will come. Each individual common people is willing to buy that product. If I'm very much interested willing that soap, means any soap, any kind of a soap, or a Dove soap or a Lux soap, whatever, means demand for that particular soap will increases. So that's what they're telling. The borrowing, the demand for goods will increases, because by individual consumption will start increasing. That's why the demand for consumption of individual is depend upon that one. Next, third one is that demand for hoarding. Hoarding means hiding whatever the money what we are hiding and keeping without spending stagnantly, we are keeping liquidity of preference, whatever day-to-day activity, whatever the money we are keeping, no, that has to be increases or decreases. For example, the interest rate in the bank increases, means nobody is willing to keep the money in hand. They wanted to put in the bank because the interest will come. If the interest rate in the bank is very less, means all will keep the money in the bank. Why we have to keep in the bank? No use, no interest, interest won't be coming, so much bigger amount won't come. So they will keep that. That's why liquidity, the person or people wanted to willing to keep the money in the hand. So that will depend upon the interest. That is what vice versa, inversely they will depend upon that one. CIH, that means investment, consumption, hoarding will depend upon. Next will come as a supply of loanable fund. Supply of loanable fund, in that there are four categories. First one is a savings. This savings can be divided into two types. First one, already we planned, monthly installment, EMI we have to pay, LIC premium we have to pay, like that will keep in a plan and keep in unexpectedly. Next one is unexpectedly. Without planned. For example, we are planning to buy one fridge. We plan that the fridge is 10,000 rupees. After, when we are going and purchasing the market, the rate of a fridge is 8,000. 2,000 is a savings. That is unexpected saving. If anything means that also can be considered as a savings. Next one is a bank credit. When the demand for a product is keep on increasing, means all the business owner will what they wanted to produce more. To raise a fund, they will go to the bank. So bank will create a credit facility to the investors, businessmen. Next is this auditing. This auditing in the sense the money which are hiding and gain, that's why stagnantly without using. Common people will keep it as a without using, means a gold rate. How the with a gold what they buy and keep it in the locker. What's the use in that? So in India in 1991, because of this only, because whatever the people keeping the money as a black money, hiding and keeping auditing money, they keeping, means the tax did not come properly to the government. So that's why in 1992 many of the public sector, that means government companies or firms, were sold to private people. That's what that's what called a disinvestment. So this investment is the opposite of investment. Disinvestment, when it's come, if you are not able to produce a profit, the investment, we are withdrawing the investment. A firm is suffering from a loss. So that is what the disinvestment. Next, we'll go for the equilibrium. Equilibrium means total demand and total supply, it should be equal. According to the supply you are producing, according to the demand you are supplying. If the demand for your product or soap, 1,000 rupees demand is people are wanting, means you are capable to produce that 1,000. You have to have a raw material fund should be have in your firm. So that's why for this supply of a demand and the loanable fund, okay, savings plus bank credit plus disordering and disinvestment. This hoarding and disinvestment, S plus BC plus DH plus DI. Next is demand for loanable fund, investment plus consumption plus hoarding, I plus C plus H. So this can be how it can be using the diagram. Here in the diagram, X axis for a demand and supply, Y axis for the rate of interest. L is the total supply. That means according to the demand you have to produce, supply has to be made. How you can make the supply? If you have a fund, if you have a raw material. To buy that raw material, you have to get the money. The money how you will get? The savings. Yes, for savings. Next, bank credit. You have to take the money from the bank. That money also you should have in your hand. Next, this hoarding. This hoarding. That means the money, whatever you're hiding and keeping, that should be come out. Next, disinvestment. In any other firm you have invested, if anything loss has been made, whatever you invested made, you withdraw that money from that firm, means that money, all this money you will keep in your hand and make the investment in a new, to produce a new product according to the supply you are producing. No, that is called as a total supply. Total demand in the sense whatever the investment already made, according that investment really started producing, that is called as a I. And the demand hoarding. Demand hoarding means whatever the supply, the goods, whatever you are keeping in your hand, that can be given to the, according to the demand you are supplying, started supplying. You're manufacturing goods, you have started supplying. That is what the demand hoarding. That is the H. So here LD in the diagram, LD total demand and total supply should intersect. That is the E point you can see there. E point you can intersect. That is the point both are equal, demand and the supply. According 1,000 soap, people wanted to buy in 1,000 soap, you are able to produce. That both should be equal. So that is the E point. So here OR, rate of interest, OM, the amount of a loanable fund, it should be equal. That's what they explained in the diagram. So this theory is also have some criticism. First one, this criticism have two factors. First one, asymmetric information and the moral hazards. In actual practice, the political power, whoever have the businessmen, whoever have a political power, they will get a more credit from the bank with a less interest. So here, due to the NPA, that means non-performance asset, the small firms, those who don't have a background or political background, or the small debitors, whoever deposit the money, they cannot get the more loan with a less interest, cannot be. So here this loanable fund theory cannot be cannot be determined, it in indeterminate formats. So for that we have to predict, when we are taking the loan, my profit will be how much, my profit will be extra or not, I have to predict in the future. Then only this will be useful. So that's what it is very difficult to combine saving and the investment. We cannot predict in whatever happens in the future. So these are all about the three theories of interest. Thank you.